So welcome back everybody, and we are now starting with panel discussion 1 titled Perspectives of Ship Owners and Managers. I request all of you to take your seats so that we can begin with the panel. The panelists and moderators are already here. Thank you everybody. May I now invite our esteemed moderator, Captain S.M. Halbe, CEO, Maritime Association of Ship Owners, Ship Managers and Agents, MASA, to kindly take the lead. Joining him on the panel are Captain Vinayak Mohla, Head Cadet Recruitment and Competency Management, Anglo-Eastern Maritime Services Private Limited, Captain Kunal Katyal, Global Head of Marine Personnel, Williamson Ship Management India Private Limited, Captain Aniket Pradhan, Fleet Personnel Director, MSC Crewing Services Private Limited, Captain Anshul Rajvanshi, Director, Marine Talent Development and Strategy, Ozilla Marine, Captain Arun Mehta, Managing Director, India OSM Thome, and Mrs. Aishwarya Palankar Gupta, Managing Director, Nautical Marine Management Services Private Limited. May I request all the panelists to take their seats on stage, and Captain Halbe, over to you.
Then he'll analyze what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. I hope the coffee and tea was hot and the snacks were hot enough for consumption. We are a bit late, but I have been assured by the organizers that that doesn't take away any, there's no good trimming of time, so we will have our allotted time. The subject for this panel is perspective of ship owners and managers, expectations from today's seafarers. At the outset, I would like to make a disclaimer that this is only a topic given for the panel discussion, and it does not mean in any way that all the onus is on the seafarer and there is no onus on anybody else. It doesn't mean that. It's just that there will be some other panel discussing something else in this topic. So it doesn't mean that we are passing the buck to the seafarers, as the world seems to be doing anyway. That any incident happens, blame the seafarer. That's the easiest thing to do because he's there. So, but we are not going to be doing that. We are going to do something a little different. I hope so. So just to set the rules of this panel, that we have 60 minutes. We are 6 panelists, experts. You will have about 3 minutes each to make your opening remarks or statements on this subject. Some I know have given 1 or 2 slides to make a PowerPoint presentation or use it as an aid memoir, as we may say, and we will take it up from there. So we will start from Captain Vinayak, because he's sitting here.
That's why I sat at the end of the table.
So Captain Arun, you are at the end of it, so that you will get a paper which is disclosed already. Okay, fair enough. Over to you, Captain Mohla. It's here, supposed to be here?
I think that's right.
No, is it?
I think
No. You want to make the paper? Oh, you will put it. Wonderful.
This is not
Okay.
working.
Okay.
changes, there are only 3 slides. What about the other changes?
Can we have the PPT and also the slide changer, please?
Just so that the audience knows, there is a huge monitor here telling us how much time is left. It's like, you know, in the Olympics, 100 meters in 9 seconds or something like that. But there is a monitor here and we have to be mindful of this monitor.
And if you go beyond 3 minutes, then somebody is there to stop.
Good morning, everybody. So, thanks Merix, thanks ATPI for inviting me for this panel discussion. The topic is perspectives of ship owners and managers' expectations from today's seafarer. So, I'm also part of Government of India's DG Shipping Committee for review of STCW Convention and Code. Right now, the STCW, as we know, it has almost 416 gaps identified. And there are more than 200 papers which have been put forward. They will be discussed in the last week of February. So just to take you the key elements which will be discussed, there are 4 areas which will be put upon, papers will be put upon. Cyber security. There will be new provisions in Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 for cyber security, for ballast water management, mental health, psychological safety, gender and cultural diversity, violence and harassment, including bullying and SASH. So these are the new 4 provisions, but there have been papers for 21st century skills, communication skills, mentoring. So these are the new areas where the people, where the administrations, flag states are putting the papers upon. Yeah. So what will happen is how we will change our training strategies, because this is the future. STCW is likely to be released by 2030. Chapters 2 and 3 will be over by this year, by this Feb, the STCW 12 and Intersessional Working Group number 2. So main thing is, first of all, the training content and delivery would need to be modernized. We have got the use of simulator, as we have been discussing in the morning. Simulator, immersive technologies like VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality, MR, XR, and even metaverse. Decarbonization, everybody has spoken about. Alternative fuels, that is a new area. Digitalization, artificial intelligence, automation, cyber security, and the human sustainability issues, the soft skills, etc. So the new seafarers we would need to empower the seafarers for these new training issues. Additionally, we would need to make sure that the old content is removed. For example, right now, the assessment is on paper charts. The assessment needs to be modernized on ECDIS. That will also increase the manpower flow. Crewing, main advantage, main area is that we should attract and retain seafarers. The PIMCO ICS report mentioned 89,000 seafarers shortage. So we are waiting for the new report 2026, but the crewing strategies should involve attraction and retention of seafarers and expanding India's workforce to align with the Maritime India Vision standards, develop a larger pool of skilled seafarers so that India is number one seafaring country in the world. We need to foster a culture of collaboration and attract the new generation to this field, highlight career progression and deploy AI-driven tools. Just to let you know, these competencies, the soft skills, this is the framework of Intertanko and OCIMF. and Anglo-Eastern was a part of both the groups. So 4 of them were already in STCW. OCIF Intertanko has suggested situation awareness and result focus, and they have raised papers to put it in the framework. So these skills are already used in the tanker industry. They are quite ahead. They started about 6-7 years back, and now they will find their way in the main STCW by end of this year. So modern crewing requires a dual focus. Technical competence keeps ship running, while soft skills keep crew functioning. It has been said, it is not your aptitude, but your attitude that determines your altitude. So soft skills are very much important in this new world, and together they form the foundation for a safe and resilient operation. So in short, we would need to upskill on these factors. Besides the soft skill, resilience training, and that's why I would like to thank DG Shipping. They have started the things like Sagar Mein Yog, and there have been papers offered to integrate this soft skill in the curriculum as well. Skills for understanding stress, coping strategies, psychological safety, suicide prevention, resilience building, and multicultural relationships. Digitization, as I mentioned, the smart technologies, we need to upskill the people for that. Mass, there are 4 levels. Level 1 is ships with automated systems. Level 2 is remote controlled ships with seafarers on board. So these levels 1 and 2, we would also need to upskill our seafarers, because the ships will have seafarers. Then training for alternative fuels. The correspondence group of under China, they have made the training guidelines for methanol, ethanol, ammonia. Ammonia, something is pending which will be discussed and released in this HEW12. Thereafter, the guidelines for hydrogen fuel cell powered ships, LPG is a fuel, hydrogen is fuel, battery powered ship, it's all there. So there will be 5 working groups, 3 working groups and 2 drafting groups. So these areas will be covered. So hopefully the three fuel types, methanol, ethanol, ammonia and hydrogen fuel cell powered ships, will be released next couple of months, and the work will continue. And of course for training for dual fuel ships. So I have just taken 3 minutes, Captain Balbe. Exactly, you stopped. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Bala. Thank you very much. We will have, of course, more questions as we go along. Over to you. Yeah, please, over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here as part of this esteemed panel. So, I represent ship managers, and the topic is, what is our expectation when it comes to from today's seafarers and future seafarers? Our expectation actually, in my view, is very simple. We are expecting superheroes. I mean, at the risk of sounding controversial, and I know Captain Halbe will pull me over when we start moderating this further, but I mean, I have to be very honest, we are expecting superheroes because generations have changed, and today people serving at sea are from different generations, and when we see what are our expectations, we see it in a segmented approach. You know, when I say segmented, means the skill set that we expect from somebody who's been out at sea for 20, 30, 40 years is different from those who are just starting or just started their career. You know, it's tending more towards human intelligence coupled with machinery intelligence, or human judgment coupled with machinery intelligence. You know, so that's what is our expectation in many ways. Being digitally savvy, but not being digitally dependent. So how do you, how much of the dependence on digitalization should a seafarer have is something is pretty much left to perspectives, and also how competent they are in different digital space, because the digitalization on board today is probably 10x, 20x from where it used to be 20 years back. Is it our expectation? Yes. As managers, why is it our expectation? Because there are so many other verticals, stakeholders, regulatory frameworks that compel us to have these expectations if we want to be in the business, if we want to grow the business, and of course, most importantly, keep the global trade moving in the most safe and efficient manner. So that is why these are some of our expectations which come along. Trusting AI, yes, but not handing over the authority to do AI. This is also one of the expectations that we expect from today's seafarers. I mean, I stand over here and it's so easy for me to say all this, but we also understand that it's easier said than done. It's very difficult for people today to, there's a lot of cognitive overload on today's seafarers, and it's so difficult for them to make their choices as to how much, where, what is the stop button and where, So while we totally relate, because the topic where I'm empaneled here is expectation, I'm just voicing out the expectations. And I don't have solutions to pretty much most of them. And that is why the dignitaries over here on the dais, we are here up for a discussion. One very important aspect that we believe is expected moving forward is the cultural integration and removal of biases. The world is evolving, community is evolving, and what is extremely important in our view is how do tomorrow's seafarers or future ready seafarers integrate themselves culturally and build a mindset where there is equal opportunity for all, and at the same time they are resilient, they are adaptive, they are they have a calmer mindset. These are expectations that are coming along, and they are actually, expectations are evolving super quick, very, very fast. What we expected in 2021 when COVID hit us, or 2020, and what we expect today are very different. In 5 years, our expectations have changed. So the future of seafaring, in our view, cannot be led alone by syllabus and classroom training alone. I think, or by building smarter machines. We need a more comprehensive package, if I can term it that way, which includes resilient, adaptive, and calmer mindsets. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Kunal. Yes, you have covered quite a lot of areas, certainly. And as a ship manager, you also highlighted your challenge. And one of the challenges you have is that at the end of the day, you have to do business. So you will do business with a brand new ship with the most modern machinery, or a 20-year-old ship which is complying with all the rules, which has nothing modern on it by today's standard. So the seafarer has to swing from one 20-year-old ship to a most modern ship, a future-ready ship, and back again, quite possible, which has nothing to do with dual fuel. It barely runs on its existing fuel. So, okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Captain Pradhan. You represent a ship owner. Yeah, please.
Can I have a presentation? Yeah. So thank you, Marex and ATPI, for having me here today. And, I would like to welcome the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As we represent the largest container company in India today, as MSC, we all know that we are the largest company. So what is our expectations from today's seafarers? That's what I'm going to, highlight here. So as we have seen during the day that, what are the key challenges today we have is, one of the key challenges is the talent shortage and the requirement for the 21st century. As we know that the technology evolves rapidly, the industry is struggling to find enough qualified and technologically readiness for technology competent seafarer. Traditional skills alone are no longer sufficient, and the gap between the required and the available skills is widening. We all know in today's time, for a cadet to clear his secondment exams, it is taking almost more than 18 to 24 months. And that's kind of a big gap. If we have to develop our seafarers, we need to close this gap. We need to have them coming up with the certification soon as possible. Then difficulty in attracting the younger generations, as we know that fewer younger people are choosing seafarer as a career. Competing onshore jobs, opportunities and lifestyle expectation make challenge to attract the Gen Z, today's Gen Z, to the maritime role. The third is the shortage of seafarers. The global shortage of 90,000 is expected in 2026, as highlighted by Captain Tandon also in the morning. This will definitely impact the operational manning of the vessels. Then the India vision of increase of growth to 20% by 2030, which from the 12% present growth. This presents both as an opportunity and the responsibility to develop, train and supply highly skilled officers and ratings globally. We all are talking about officers, but we are not talking about the ratings. I mean to say, presently we don't have any institutes where we have trained fitters coming out of. There is no dedicated course for fitters to be skilled and come out in the market. We all are using fitters right from, having the training from the shipyard, ITI training, shipyard training, and then we put them as a trainee and then you train them. So, we need to think of those lines that we should have a skill ratings as well. Need for specialized skills, the shift towards digital system, automation, alternative fuels and smart ships means we now need seafarers with far more specialized competencies than before. To close it, these challenges highlights why we need to prepare our crew for the future. When we talk about expectation, that is what we talk about, the future readiness for our crew. So what as a company, as a MSC, what we are looking at our crew to be future ready with? We need our crew to have a progressive mindset, which means that our goal is to develop seafarer who thinks progressively, who is not complacent. People who are adaptable, open to changes because newer technologies are coming in. He should be open to change, ready to take new ways of working. He must welcome digitalization, which is now transforming the maritime industry. Instead of seeing technology as a challenge, we want our crew to embrace it as an opportunity for personal growth, efficiency and better decision making. Using technology on board, innovative technology on board. As we know that innovative technology is becoming an integral part of modern ships. We have dual fuel vessels, we have newer engines, electronic engines, MA engine, WinZD engines. So we need our crew to be prepared for that, to accept those technologies. These tools are designed to support the crew, making operational safer, easier and more streamlined. Our job as a ship owner is to ensure the crew is equipped and confident to use them. Then preparing the crew for a new technology, it's not enough to deploy just new systems on board. We need to prepare our people. That means early familiarization, structured training, continuous exposures to upcoming technologies so they feel ready, not overwhelmed. Lastly, training and development. Training is the core of being future ready. Continuous development ensures our seafarers keep pace with changing regulations, smarter ships and evolving global expectations. This investment in people is what strengthens our company long-term capabilities. So in short, being future ready is about mindset. We have people who have sailed with us, for 20 years, 30 years, but if they have got positive mindset, they accept the newer technologies and learn them. They need to adopt the technology. They need to have continuous learning. And this is how we ensure our crew stay competitive, confident in the rapidly changing maritime world. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Pradhan. Thank you very much. You did mention about training and progression for ratings, etc. But there are facilities available in this country to meet your challenges. Well, there is one at least. So let's start with one. So why worry about many? Let's use the one effectively. So there are. And there is also one saying, you know, that, but it's not for you, but there is a saying that when a child, a father and his child were walking, and the father tells the child, be careful, you know, where you walk. So the child actually told the father, you be careful where you walk because I'll be following you. So the training has to come something like that for us. You know, we sitting ashore cannot say you be trained when we ourselves are not trained. We look at cyber security or computer networking, which is also going to be a major part of the IMO deliberations now at HTW. Captain Mohla is aware of that. And one of the remarks made at the previous IMO meeting last February, was it was vehemently said that we want seafarers, not computer engineers on board. That was something very categorically said. So what will happen in the next coming HTW, we will see. But it has also been said. So we need to be careful. So with these few words, Madam Aishwarya, over to you.
I have a PPT. Small PPT. I have a PPT, just one page. I don't know, it's just one page, I suppose. I've given that. Yeah, that's it. I didn't want to make a real big presentation as such. I don't think it's required. I have really all masterminders sitting here, and I don't know whether I'm an expert to talk about it. Good morning, everybody who are here. So what ship owners really expect from today's seafarers is the topic. When we talk about expectations from ship owners and managers specifically, what I believe and what I think is that we must first acknowledge that technical excellence or technical knowledge is just the baseline that is expected as of now today. Okay. If every ship owner expects certification, compliance and operational knowledge, this is not negotiable at all. Okay. Incidents today rarely happen because someone don't know their job or they are not competent. Most of the time that we see that any incidents or things going wrong are because of miscommunication, fatigue, peer pressure, sometimes also poor teamwork, hesitations that they have, and inability to adapt under pressure. Ships today sail with smaller crew. Number of crew are pretty small as per the guidelines that we get. Higher automations and far tighter compliances. This means every individual on board carries greater responsibilities, not just for tasks, but for decisions, communications and leaderships. Regardless whatever rank they are from, even the crew or the ratings that we talk about, even if we talk about a trainee here, he has to make certain decisions while also being in the training positions. At the same time, industry is going through massive transformations of digitalization, automations, and decarbonizations. It is changing. Change is happening. Automation has reduced much of a manual work, but what we see is a cognitive load that has increased on the seafarer. Seafarers are now expected that they are environmental compliance and party of daily operations and not just an add-ons. At COP27, there was a clear recognition that shipping cannot become green unless seafarers are prepared and supported. Research suggests that more than 800,000 seafarers globally will be additionally training required in the coming decade. Guy Pluton, Secretary General of International Chambers of Shipping, has emphasized that the training has to begin today. We cannot wait even a day. This tells us one important thing: adaptability and learning mindsets are no longer options, they are more acceptations. Leadership is another area where expectations have changed. Ships are multicultural, isolated environments under constant pressures. Leadership today is not confined to masters and chief engineers. It goes down to every crew on board the ship. And ship owners specifically value seafarers who can manage stress, support mental well-being, communicate across the culture, and create trust on board. Finally, this is shared responsibility here. As expectations evolve, training systems, crew policies, and management policies and practices must evolve with them. We cannot demand adaptability, resilience, and leadership from seafarers without providing fair training, realistic preparations, and supportive system. If we get this balance right, we can definitely make a lot of seafarers which are competent enough for future in India. And that's all I would want to say.
Thank you, Aishwarya. One of the things you have not said, but it has come out, is to have a future-ready seafarer, we need to have a present-ready trainer. It's very essential. You're not going to get a future-ready seafarer without a present good trainer. Over to you, Captain Anshul. You already have the Olympic mark set at you.
Should I go there or should I?
Up to you, entirely up to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to Marex Media for having this conference where we can discuss and collaborate about future ready seafarers. Yesterday evening when I came to Delhi, sir, I was thinking what to say. I just put some thoughts, I'll share with you. Maybe you'll have to tell me whether right or wrong. Sir, in my opinion, for last hundreds of years, as far as shipping is concerned, as far as jobs on board are concerned for seafarers, there's not much changes. Okay? Hundreds of years. Sea has remained the same. Ships have almost remained the same, other than advent of technologies. Sea has remained the same, unforgivable. Storms have remained the same. Nothing has changed. In fact, the severity of the storm must have gone up. So what has changed? The way we used to handle the ships during rough weather, I don't think that has changed. The way you were handling maybe 30, 40 years back, sir. Or Captain Mehta, who's a senior guy. So the basic has remained the same to run the ships. Working aloft on the ship, probably checklists have become bigger. Lowering and picking up live boats, presenting the live boat during inspections. We still have accidents taking place during that time. We still have incidents while entering the confined space and closed space. So what has changed? Tank entry procedures must have gone, checklist has gone bigger, more checks, more balances. Approval has to come from the office rather than approval given by the ship staff, masters and chief engineer. Earlier, communication was very, very less. When I was sailing around, 91? 30 years back, more than 30 years back, we used to get only one message from the ship or two messages in 24 hours. And that's it. Very less communication, but I mean, life was fun on board. Everybody used to talk to each other because there was no 24 hours internet. We used to talk to each other, and today's scenario when we have 24 hours connectivity, we have Starlink coming on board, we can watch movies, we can have video streaming continuously. We don't talk to each other. Okay, I'll come back to the requirement of seafarers, our expectations. I'm keeping an eye on that, sir. I remember very clearly when I was sailing, there were two songs which came into Hindi songs which came out. One was from the movie called Naam, Chitti Aayi Hai, And all of us used to have tears in our, when we used to hear those songs. And there was another song, Sande Se Aate Hain from Border. And again, same emotions. So what has changed? There was no work on Saturdays, Sundays when you used to go to Europe or Japan and life was fun. What has changed? We were so excited when the ship was going to some new port that we'll go out, we'll have some time to go out and have some fun, probably spend some time with friends. That has changed. Earlier, most of the decisions were taken by masters and chief engineers. Not much support from the office. Ship will stop, they will carry out the repairs for a couple of hours, then they will inform the office that yes, my ship had some issues, but we are back on our voyage. That has changed. It was my ship, it was my pride, it was my family on board. That has changed. Now with the requirement coming up, expectations going up, as my friend Kunal said, every owner and every manager is expecting our seafarers to be superheroes. That's the expectation, sir. You should be competent, you should be knowledgeable, you should be adaptable, you should know the technology, you should know the digitization, you should know the decarbonization, you should know everything here from the ship staff. And every end of the day, everybody wants to run the ship efficiently. We don't want any loss to lives, incidents on board. Cargo should go from point A to B on time. No oil pollution, less emissions. This is what we expect. But what do we expect from the seafarers? Seafarers should do everything, but how do we support? This is a teamwork, friends, which I believe it is not only seafarers on board, it is the entire team which is working ashore, whether as a manager, whether from the owner side. We all have to work towards this change. The expectation should not be only from the seafarers, expectation should be from the office staff as well. No blame culture. I still see messages going, to the ship, failed to understand, captain failed to understand. Surprised to see that ship is still not maintained properly. Why we are surprised? We should know. It's the same team. So that has changed. How much time, sir, I have? Okay. So
You're Captain Anshul, I appreciate what you're saying.
We'll come back again.
You're getting emotional about it, which is true, and it should be. If you're having,
I'll come back again. How to overcome these challenges. So there are challenges, friends, and as I said, we all have to work together as a team, on board, ashore, managers, seafarers, as owners. How do we handle these challenges? We will come to that later. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Anshul. Thank you very much. You have, in so many words, you have actually stated that the seafarer is not going to do his job as he is supposed to do if there is too much interference from the office, which it is. Let's be real. Your messages about fail to understand, I'm waiting with bated breath for your report, or etc., etc. Yes, they don't help. The communication needs to be better, more equal, for sure. That it's necessary. But that's a present day's problem. We need to see the future. And the future, the seafarer is not going to have. We can't be talking about future seafarers without the future people in the office as well. It has to be. Captain Arun, you have the mic. You have the mic and the clock.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you to Marex Media and ATPI for arranging the second edition of this event, and thank you for inviting me. I think almost everything has been said, so probably it's very simple to sum up now. Sometimes it's good to be at the backbencher at the last time, but I think there are a couple of things which I would like to pick on and probably highlight a little more. And one of the things was the ecosystem in which we work today. And the expectations, why we are expecting, why we are having this topic of saying what are our expectations from seafarers, the root cause is that there is a huge amount of expectations from the different set of stakeholders which now have an extreme amount of visibility. That's changed. So we are under the focal lens or a focal light, whether it is from charterers, whether it is from owners, whether it is from sub-charterers, whether it is from crew managers. Everybody wants super efficiency, and that's where it comes down to saying, do we have superhumans on board, you know? And you know, some of the things which I say is from a personal perspective, very, it is from a perspective of building capacity and capability, which is close to what I feel. And some of the things are what we have been able to do at the organization where I am, where we have a tagline and a slogan which says, it's all about people. And we talked about power distances and we said equal this thing. We're trying to imbibe a culture where it says the equality is not in the hierarchy on board, but between the ship and the shore. So the arrangement has to be equally participative. And that's one of the expectations we are taking from the seafarers, that we will lay out the framework, but we want participative support from you guys. Whether it is to upskill yourself, cross-skill yourself, we're willing to put in the investment, but are you willing to take the step also? Similarly, what we are also looking at is not just basic competence. That's the baseline. We are looking at saying, can this competence in this rapidly changing maritime world, with all these changes coming in, can it actually translate into effective running of the vessel? So can it translate out? Can you bring all of these individual skills together and convert it into proficiency? It's like saying, should I, hold the bike handle? Should I cycle? Should I pedal? But can you bring it all together and make it so unconscious that you can run it? And then you have time and bandwidth to be able to absorb something new. So we're not looking at bare competence. And the reason why we're not looking at bare competence is because, unfortunately, STCW and the competency frameworks are extremely slow. They do not make business sense for us to just make, if I was to use the term, we feel that building competence, just like safety, makes business sense because it builds on not just the competency part of it, but takes that into one level up and translates it into proficiency on board, effectiveness on board, and being able to run the vessels, which is what we've been doing throughout the years. The other thing on trying to equalize, which we are looking at as imbibing, a small anecdote, we had some of the people, we had a fleet group manager, no names, but we had a fleet group manager who once said, none of these guys are okay. None of these people you put on board. Hey, this guy is not okay, somebody is not, anybody who's been in crewing will come to know, will agree to this, that anytime somebody goes on board, somebody will find some fault and say, like you said, sir, it boils down at the end of the day that the seafarer, she's on the sharp end of the stick, and that's the problem. So we said, we do all these evaluations and we do all of this. All right, what evaluation? So we told him, I said, you look at the evaluation and try it and tell us what needs to be added to this. So he took the test. And after he took this cognitive test, the cognitive ability was 4 percentile. So he said, this is all bullshit. Pardon my French. So I told him, I said, if this is 4 percentile and the chief engineer on board or the master on board is 70 percentile, maybe you're not the right person to tell him what to do. So we are looking at trying to figure out, it's not just the competence on board. We find absolutely nobody on the office side knows anything about cybersecurity. We have done these experiments where we send out these mails from the CEO down to everybody has been caught in that sort of phishing. It's not an actual phishing, but it is a simulated phishing mail or simulated and everybody has been caught. And then we tell everybody on board, no, you use zero error. And I think that is one of the things which we as an industry needs to reflect. Can we actually, we can trend to zero error, but can we say it has to be absolute zero error? There has to be no incident. I have not seen any industry which says that we will, because then we are starting from a point where we say people should not make mistakes, or systems should not have any errors. And having worked in the software side of things, on the developing systems, having seen everybody has an inherent error percentage or a percentile, and that needs to be accepted first, and then the systems and the processes designed around it. And I think that's where we lack.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Mehta. Thank you very much. You touched upon the STCW, and Captain Mola also has touched upon it. And the STCW, the 2010 amendments, vanilla amendments as they are known, they actually took full effect in 2017, and they are continuing today. So if the present STCW is finally signed off in 2030, actually full implementation will be by 2036. By which time many of this room wouldn't be, have nothing, maybe playing golf or gardening or whatever else they do for a living. So it is a reality. STCW is extremely slow, but then I guess that's democracy, and that is how it will be. Earlier there was a concept of, attract, train and retain. There were the three pillars. Subsequently there has been a fourth pillar added, is attract, train, retain and retrain, because that's a need now for these new fuels, new technologies, etc. But when we are not sure as to what is the new technology and new fuel going to be, what are we expecting from the seafarer then? And why are we expecting so much from the seafarer? Captain Mola?
Correct, sir. I think we need to train seafarers for fuel which we don't know, for ships which are not there, and that is everybody's after GHG, the fuel type, methyl alcohol will be, and ammonia, it is going to be ready. The training guidelines are going to be ready. But is there a fuel? And how many seafarers need to be trained if the ships come? So that is one challenge which the industry has. And not only these two fuels, the other fuel types. Now they're talking about wind power propulsion. Even the nuclear fuel is coming. The classification societies like DNV, LR, they have already issued the guidelines. The technology is moving very, very fast. Training will always try to catch up. Regulations will try to catch up. But this is the challenge which the full world is facing right now, as we saw in the last MEPC.
Thank you. Do you want to add something more to this?
I think just another thing which we're trying to achieve is we want to move from added training to deductive training. What do we remove out? Because we're just adding on, and that has come to a point where the seafarers have come to a point of what I call training fatigue. They're not interested, they're only interested in certification, and that's the sad truth. And I don't blame them, because there is so much, everything requires a course, everything requires a certification, because you need to have a piece of paper to show. And I remember, when I was attending my master's certificate of competency college, there was a gentleman who was teaching us law, and he said, how good is this? Please remember, any certificate is only prima facie evidence of your competence or of being compliant. If I get a knock on my head and I can't distinguish whether if I forget whether the red is to the port or to the starboard, am I still competent? I still have a valid piece of paper. And I think that's what we need to also recognize, is how much we can add on, what do we need to remove, and that is left up to the companies, unfortunately. You look at Solas, it's grown to a voluminous this thing. STCW is just adding on.
See, that will happen. In the coming STW, there is going to be a discussion on seafarer fatigue. Papers have been presented. India is supposed to be participating in that. And one of the items that will come up or for discussion is not just about the competency and management of seafarers, but whether the safe manning document is sufficient or not could be at stake, though it is not necessarily part of STW's domain to discuss that, but that could very well be at stake. Given this, assuming that we could see some changes in or recommendations for changes in the manning numbers that we are talking about. It's not easy to happen, but assuming it will happen, what actually would you like to add for the future seafarer? What is it? See, when we talk of a future seafarer, his life needs to be better tomorrow than what it is today. It has to be. As there was a song when I was younger by an American band called Huey Lewis and the News, and the song actually went is step by step, one by one, something, something. What I want from tomorrow is to be better than today. So what is it that's going to be better for the seafarer tomorrow? If we do get into the safe manning, changing in numbers, etc., what is it that's supposed to happen? Anyway, please. I mean, we are guessing. We don't know that.
Sir, if I have to make a very, very ambitious ask, I would actually ask for, on the safe manning document, to have maybe more officers. But at the same time, we have a shortage of officers. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword. How, firstly, we are struggling to meet the current requirements for running the vessel, but at the same time, we are talking about more manpower on the same safe manning document. So, I'm not sure whether maybe the lower rung of the ladder is okay, but how do we get that upskill?
Okay.
I just want to add here with what Captain Kunal said is, we are talking about safe manning, but already we are running ships with the operational manning, where we have got the added officers on board. So maybe that operational manning can be made as a safe manning, will have more number of officers and crew on board.
I will stop on this because there is more to it than what you have just said. But I will stop here because that will be a separate debate. So we will not go that route. If you see, IMO has dropped the word minimum safe manning. It is a safe manning document, and if you see the contents of that resolution, which Captain Butalia pointed out, 1023 or 1083, 1047, yeah, 1047, it goes into operation in port as well. It is not just limited to sea. So there is a document available. But never mind. Taking a cue from what Captain Kunal just mentioned, Captain Mola, of creating more officers, etc., etc., which also shows that there is a bottleneck. That's why there is less. How practical are the number of suggestions that we have received in HTW for reducing or compensating the sea time by use of simulators? How practical are those suggestions? There will be more.
Yes, so if you look at the proposals in the new HTW, they have advocated the use of simulator, and as I mentioned, AR, VR, MR, metaverse. But simulator is the main thing. For table 2x1, it has already been discussed. Table 2x1 is the cadet becoming a second mate, officer of the watch. For table 2x1, it has already been agreed that the reduction will be there in table 2x1. The quantum is not yet known. So there are papers which have been issued by a lot of, nobody has actually opposed this change. Nautical Institute has mentioned one paper that we should be careful, but they have not opposed. Most of the changes require or propose at least 3 months of reduction of sea time. That means after 9 months of sailing as a cadet, you can expect to become officer of the watch. Some countries have mentioned that 1 day of simulator time should be equal to 3 days of sea time. Thereby, 2 months of reduction you can take. So this is the new scenario. So they, to take care of reduction in sea time, to take care of more training berths, faster turnaround. But this is going to happen. The reduction is going to be there. The quantum is not yet known, but it will be known after end of February.
Yeah. Anybody wants to add something? We have 9 minutes.
So personally, I don't think simulator should be able to reduce so much of sea time, or 1 day of simulator will reduce 2 days or 3 days of sailing time. I don't think. Simulator is important, and simulator are also trying to bring out real sea scenario, but then you can't have so much of reduction in sea time. The real training, real learning, real mentoring happens on board. That's what I think so.
I think what stimulator cannot do is the stress or the fatigue and the things which is obviously in the STCW also is going to come in. That is not possible to be seen in during these stimulator courses. And without that being considered while sailing, I don't see that the seafarer can be, consider that 1:3 is going to be really a. I don't think I can expect that kind of a quality seafarer in that case. Other than that, I think we have spoken about ratings. We need to really work on that because we can't just expect, as we already have a bottleneck for the officers, we need to reduce that headache only on the officers and take a lot of things to the ratings also. They can be competent enough. While you are only talking about cadets, their ratings were competent enough and they need to be made competent enough. That is where I think we can focus on to increase from 3 lakh to 5 lakh won't be that easy, but ratings can really help us into that sectors for sure.
Thank you. You want to say something?
Very quickly, sir.
Please.
I have sent you a long mail on this, but so it's a separate discussion completely. I think it warrants its own. But I feel there are two things. We are looking at simulators to reduce sea service. Why aren't we looking at simulators and technology to reduce and make educational part of your training to be enhanced? You can imbibe the knowledge faster by doing it in an interactive fashion rather than to say, because I feel that there is an experiential part which the simulators can bring, but that experiential part to bring requires, like Captain Budalia said, trainers. It requires a different set of simulators. It requires an upgradation, the cost. I think we need to be, when Nautical Institute says be cautious, I think I would be, on a personal level, I would go politically and be sort of politically incorrect in saying that I don't think we should be only cautious. We should be suspect of what it can do and how much it can. When COVID came around, everybody said, TCS said 25 by 25. 25% of our workforce will work from home by 2025. What's happened now? Everybody come back to office. So we need to be mindful, because unfortunately in shipping that doesn't happen. Once it is done and dusted. Then it becomes the norm. On the matter of how seafarers can support, what we can make life easier, is we are looking at and trying to experiment with something called the decision support system, or having some support system from the office to make certain elements either through the office or through systems where technology based systems where the rudimentary works and the tasks get taken care of, where they do not need to then sit down. Nobody needs to sit down and start saying, okay, now send this for concurrence and this. It becomes automated.
The problem I can see, what you mentioned, is that the people sitting ashore are probably technology pedestrian, and that's why the problem is taking place, and we are expecting better output from the seafarer when the input is poor or inadequate. Can we have some questions from the audience, please? We still have about 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes to go. Anybody wants? Okay, the man himself.
Yeah. I just want to follow up what Captain Arun's point. I think it's quite easy to say seafarer to be trained for 3 months on simulator, because seafarer has to pay. So that's the thing. When it comes to, as you said, to shift technology to simulation on value-added courses, where the money will have to be spent by ship owner, and that is something which ship owners should consider. These online things and these CBTs are not the solution. So in that they will have to invest more resources and training centers and all. In this, what will happen? Will churn out a lot of seafarers, so the gainers will be the training centers. Thank you.
So can I just add one thing?
Please.
With the simulator reducing the sea time, I have one view on this which worries me a little. 36 months, 24, 18, 12, now we are talking about 9. while maybe the seafarers gain the technical competence, but as an officer on watch, you have a multi-million, billion-dollar asset, and some things come with maturity when you spend time at sea. So it's not only technical competence, we need our officers to be enough, to have seen enough practically out at sea to be an officer on watch of that big ship out there, which can create a disaster if things go wrong. So I think that's an aspect which also should be tabled when we are talking about reducing the sea time.
One fact, there are no statistics I have seen which have said that because he had 36 months sea time, he was better than a person who had 24 months sea time, who was better than a person with 12 months sea time. There are no such statistics. At least I have not seen any. So for us to sit here and say about a future seafarer that he may not be good enough, I think will be hitting below the belt. I don't think we should. We should have far more respect for the younger generation, and we need to guide them, which we were also guided. Just to share with you an anecdote, my first ship as a cadet, there were no third mates those days. So one of the senior cadets was doing a third mate job, and 4 of us were doing the jipping, painting, and whatever else. We were lined up on the bridge at 6 o'clock in the morning when we reported to the chief officer. He looked at all of us, and first thing he told us is, "Oh, you are all useless." He said. That's the starting point. But it was a good thing to do, because we became pretty useful later on in life, So it may not have been a bad start after all. And the man here smiling at me, he knows why I'm saying this. So, okay, we have exactly 2.5 minutes. So we will have round for one more question. Typically, the so-called value-added training of today becomes the mandatory training of tomorrow. More or less, 25 years back, bridge team was the big thing, which became part of mandatory requirement anyway. What is it that you would like to see for the future seafarer, which is not in doubt? Fuels are in doubt. Today is methanol, tomorrow it's LNG, day after tomorrow it's something else. What is it that you think will make it more? Is it the hard skills, or is it on the soft skills side, or is it on the adaptability side? Which side would you think would help him?
Absolutely soft skills, sir. Because the adaptability and the basic ability to be able to imbibe whatever comes in new, and to be able to manage a team of people, even the stakeholders, every aspect, data management, everything will evolve from the ability to have good soft skills, learning ability, learning mindset, open mindset, saying that something will change. And I think that is all part of soft skills training, not the hard-coded competence training.
Sir, I'll completely agree with Arun. Again, going back to basics, I would like my seafarer, especially Master and Chief Engineer, to ensure entire team remains on board. They are happy, they feel safe, and they remain like a family. We have to create this feeling of community living together. If we can create a happy ship, I think everything can be taken care of. That's what I think.
But is it, Aishwarya wants to say something.
No, I think what he said, curiosity between the seafarers, resilience and adaptability. If you have these 3 things, they are ready to get themselves upgraded, and that's what is more soft skills, is what I think I believe.
It's Captain Kharbanda. Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering how these aviation pilots, they are trained. All training on the simulators.
Simulator, that's it, every 6 months.
Yeah, so all training is in the simulators. Yeah, no, let me complete. Yeah, so no doubt they have to come again and again, but now the workforce required is so much. This is the best way to do the simulator training, and they are trained pretty well.
I do agree, sir, but unfortunately, we copy paste from the airline industry, not looking at the entire ecosystem. There are 4 major companies which make commercial aircraft. 4. Every pilot is trained and certified, not unlimited, but for a particular pilot, particular type of aircraft. The systems are very alike. The routes are very designed. The operating window is very short. There is a cutoff between your work and your rest. There is a difference between you are not involved with all the activities. You are only involved with navigate or taking off, landing, and monitoring the plane. The rest of the activities are taken away. It is maintenance, operations, everything is done by different teams.
We are just talking about the training part, Maintenance and all is a secondary part. How you take it is a later on stage. But right now, what we are talking about is a training part. And at the same time, these pilots, they have to go for training on and off again. But other thing is, do you put a candidate from the chemical tankers on a bulk carrier or a bulk carrier candidate in the tanker? You don't these days. Times have gone. Once you have got a certificate and you were put on any ship, you were certified, you go and report and okay, bulk carrier, chemical tankers, you go there. But not anymore. So what is the difference left between aviation and this now? They are not they're certified for, let's say, Boeing or Airbus like that,
Time out.
But they are flying only Boeings. Here they're just going to chemical tankers.
Well, each chemical tanker, sir, is going to be absolutely different from the Boeing aircraft, which is going to be there.
No,
So
what I'm trying to say is the training
Excuse me,
part,
sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. You can see this big red board coming up and this lady here whispering in my ear. And that whisper was a very stern one. That, time's up. Time's up.
Just one.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I spent almost 10 years in the simulation side of things, building up the entire simulation framework from one product to 14 products and supporting on building simulators. So, and I can tell you that yes, we can, but the ecosystem we have, until unless that changes, simulator training cannot be slapstick copy paste from what the airline industry does. We have had this discussion. We can have this discussion separately. I've had this discussion with the gentleman who's introduced this in British Airways as the first person to introduce completely simulation-based training to get to full certification. The first plane, even the British Airways team refused to fly with him.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, we will fly because a number of us are going to London in another 2 weeks' time and we will not fly British Airways. Thank you very much for that pointer. So that was worrisome actually. But okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for a intriguing 1 hour. I thought 1 hour was too much, but it's obviously not too much. We can see that. And I sincerely hope we have achieved something. I sincerely hope there are no seafarers here today right now because I'm sure they're going to throw bricks at us because we haven't solved any of their problems. Yeah? Okay. Thank you very much.
So thank you, our moderators and panelists. I now invite Captain Rajesh Tandon to please come on the dais and honor our moderators and panelists. So we start with our panelists first. Captain Vinayak Mohla. Captain Kunal Katyal. Captain Aniket Pradhan. Captain Anshul Rajvanshi. Captain Arun Mehta. Mrs. Aishwarya Palankar Gupta. And our very dynamic moderator, Captain S.M. Halbe. Can you all come ahead for a group picture, please? Captain Tandon, just roll on for a picture.